I thought to explain a little bit about error handling in RxSwift. And this is a subject that's a little bit maybe abstract to understand in the beginning, but I promise as soon as you give it a try a few times and experiment a little bit yourself, you will get a hang of it very, very, very fast. Um, the important thing to remember in RxSwift is that an operator that or a function that returns an observable inside a flat map or flat map lattice or any of the flat map families cannot return or throw an error, because actually it can, but it will basically um, dispose of your overall stream, if I can say that. And I thought to demonstrate that with a simple button example here that we're going to have a look at. This is actually from a previous video. I've hold on to the code for demonstration purposes for this video as well. So let's change this to flat map lattice. And then I'm going to run the app, so you're going to see how it looks like. All right, we have a button here, and it's subscribed to the event stream. And then I create a counter here that starts from 0, and every time I press the button, this counter is going to go up by 1. Then inside the flat map lattice of the button event, we're going to create an observable of basically an interval integer. It starts with 0, but then we immediately map it to a number above 0. So the first event is going to be 1. And then we go into another map. If the number is divisible by 2, then we're going to throw an error. If not, we are going to return the number. So the first event is going to come 1, because actually it's going to be 0 from the interval, then 1 here, then 1 is not basically divisible by 2. So, sorry, if the number is divisible, then we're going to throw an error. I think I maybe said it before a bit incorrectly. So 1 is not divisible by 2. We're going to go to the else statement and return 1. After a second, we're going to come here. The number coming from interval is going to be 1 plus 1 will be 2. 2 is divisible by 2. Then we're going to throw an error. But you can see we're inside a flat map lattice. And if we throw an error from an inside observable, then that's going to destroy the overall button tab stream subscription. So let's have a look and see what happens in the debug console. You can see the first event comes, and then immediately we get an error after that, and then you can see that the stream is completely disposed of. And this results in really weird behavior in that your button is going to stop working completely. This is quite simple, quite simply one of the most common problems people have with RxSwift. And there are so many discussions about this. Even people behind RxSwift are going to have their own explanations as why this is happening. But this is the important thing to remember, is that this is how Rx is built. Not just RxSwift, but Rx as a technology. So what can we do about it? Well, there's one thing that is very obvious in that. You can absorb all these errors. You can say that if an error happens, just ignore it. But another way is to return that from your flat map lattice. You can see here we're returning an observable of int, but instead you can just return an observable of Swift result with your value plus an error if that may occur. So let's define that. Let's type alias that and call it Rx error. And we will say this is or Rx, sorry, result. And this will be a Swift result of type element, for instance. Element or an error. That's it. Now what we're going to have to do is to extend our observable type so that we can here say, for instance, to Rx result. This is what we're going to implement. Let's go and extend observable type. Observable type. We'll create a function here. We'll say as Rx result. All right. And this function is going to return an observable of Rx result of self-development, right? The element of, so basically the element that's in our observable type is going to come here to the Rx result. So that's where we're going to return. And let's change this as well to Rx result of int. All right, great. The structure's in place now. Oh, it's to Rx result. Here's as Rx result. Which one's nicer? Well, let's just say 2. That's okay. And then here we're going to say, we're going to map this value to Rx result of self element, and it's a success of $0. All right, and then in here we're going to catch the error that comes in, and then we're just going to say, okay, adjust failure of $0. All right, that's it. That's all you have to do. Now let's give it another try here and see what happens this time. So the expected behavior is that as soon as the number is divisible by 2 and we throw an error here, then we're going to get the error down here, but wrapped inside an Rx result, which is a Swift result basically. But the button should continue working. That's the whole point. All right. Boom. You can see we got a first value here, and then we got a failure. But then if I press the button again, it continues working. All right, I know this is not an overall, like a very thorough explanation of what you need to do to handle your errors inside FlatMap and FlatMap latest, but I hope it gives you an idea how to solve this problem that pretty much everyone has with RxSwift, which in my opinion isn't really a problem, is a disagreement of how people think Rx should work. But the important thing to remember is that you cannot throw an unhandled exception inside your FlatMap and FlatMap latest in RxSwift, and this is one way to solve that. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video.